am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos.
Hello there, Price of Reason here with a series review. In October 2019, when HBO announced there would be a prequel series to Game of Thrones, most people felt rather indifferent, myself included. While Game of Thrones was exceptional in its first 5 seasons, good in its 6th, and okay in its 7th, the 8th and final season is widely considered today one of the biggest TV disasters of all time. So much so that after its series finale, the entire Game of Thrones brand went from being the most popular show on Earth to a worldwide disappointment. If we're being honest, I had zero faith in HBO's new prequel show, and very little interest in it. Like many, out of sheer curiosity, I tuned in to the premiere episode of House of the Dragon a few weeks ago, thinking it would be terrible, but surprisingly, it ended up being
pretty good!
Still, since it obviously had to set up a lot of exposition, I wasn't completely invested. However, the second episode started developing the different characters and storylines and got a bit more interesting.
Gentlemen, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
And when the credits rolled this time at the end of episode 3, I felt a strange sensation, one that I hadn't felt since the good seasons of Game of Thrones. Suddenly, I wanted to know.
What's the score here? What's next?
Now, I can't tell you what the show's future will bring, but at least until now, House of the Dragon seems to be getting a lot of things right due to 4 main reasons. Number 1, casting. If you're producing a high-quality fantasy show, you absolutely have to get the right casting because you're essentially taking the viewer away to an imaginary, make-believe place. If the actors you choose don't convincingly deliver their lines, the viewer will be very quick to smell a rat. Just ask Amazon Prime. House of Dragon absolutely nails their casting though. You completely believe that these characters are living in this world during this time and place, and it really helps draw you into the story right out the gate. Paddy Considine is a solid actor who I was already familiar with from Peaky Blinders. He brings the right vibe and energy to his role as a king who is rather grounded and seemingly decent, but also a ruler that understands his responsibilities. Rhys Ifans, another veteran actor, is believable every time you see him on screen as well. As the king's hand, I suspect the writers will give him more to do as we move forward in the story. But even now, whenever we do see him, he is convincing as a mild-mannered, clever, and manipulative advisor. Out of what appears to be the show's current main leads, the MVP casting would probably go to Matt Smith, who is absolutely terrific as Daemon Targaryen. After seeing him in shows like Doctor Who and The Crown, I can definitely say that this guy has a versatile acting range, and he brings a real charismatic and menacing presence to the show every time you see him on screen. When casting for the role of Sea Snake, the actor they chose is very good. I don't think I've seen Steve Toussaint in anything before, but you can immediately tell that he's an experienced actor that understands the atmosphere of the show, and I'm interested in seeing what they do with his character moving forward. It's hard for me to evaluate the acting of Millie Alcock and Emily Carey as Rhaenyra and Alicent, as they're rather young. I suppose it's good enough though, especially since within an episode or two, there will be a time jump and both of these actresses will end up being replaced by older ones. Number 2, the production. The look and feel of this show is what you'd expect from a Game of Thrones branded show. The locations, the visuals, the directing are all top-notch, and the overall production value is
most impressive.
In this case, a fantasy show that was given a sizable budget knows exactly what it needs to do with it, unlike some other shows. It also helps that HBO brought some veteran producers and directors from the better seasons of Game of Thrones to steer the ship. As a result, this show always feels well presented, and it never feels like an amateur production. Number 3, writing. At least until now, I think that the writing has been very good. We're 3 episodes in, and the writers have already managed to introduce the characters and story in a way that draws viewers into the show. This is no easy feat. We already know who the different players are, and we also understand what motivates them. Dialogues are used to advance the story, and none of the scenes feel like filler. There have been a few other shows that have come out recently where the writing has been atrocious, but in these 3 first episodes, House of the Dragon shows what can happen when you focus on substance rather than trendy agendas. Number 4, the music. The music on the show is once again composed by Game of Thrones composer Ramin Djawadi. I was initially a bit surprised that the House of the Dragon producers decided to reuse the Djawadi Game of Thrones theme in the opening credits, but after a few episodes, I feel that this idea has grown on me. Within the actual episodes themselves, like all the other elements of a production, music is very important for setting the right tone, and once again, Ramin Djawadi absolutely understands the assignment. Even with all the good things I've just said about House of the Dragon, I'm still proceeding with caution because of the Game of Thrones Season 8 fiasco, which I haven't yet forgotten about. While for now, I'm happy to give House of the Dragon a good review, if it stops delivering this level of quality or anywhere near it, I will happily point it out. As of now, though, it appears that the show is competently written, produced, directed, and acted, which is the key to the success of a fantasy escapist series. And with all the other crap being dished out these days by Hollywood, it's pretty refreshing to see. On a final note, there's been a lot of talk in the mainstream media recently about so-called toxic fandoms and so-called review bombings for shows like She-Hulk and Rings of Power, but we haven't been seeing false media narratives about House of the Dragon for one simple reason. A good show is a good show, and that doesn't require fan blaming. And if you, like me, are tired of fake reviews from shill critics, please consider subscribing to my channel and clicking on that wonderful notification bell, as I will always give you my honest opinion. Also, feel free to let me know what you thought of House of the Dragon in the comments below. Thanks for watching, my friends. Thank you, and good day.
I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos.